Now that's a cool combination.
Welcome to Autobot Arcade.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Autobot Arcade here, bringing you another Transformers review. This time it's the combination of all the Constructicons into Devastator. A figure we have all been very much looking forward to. I know I certainly have, and I can't wait to get into it. But before we do, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Autobot Arcade and Autobot Arcade Reviews. But without further ado, let's get into this review. But before we get down to combining them into Devastator mode, we're going to go through and take a look at each of these figures and see how they stack up next to each other, their strengths and their weaknesses. So with that said, let's get into this review. The first two figures to arrive in the lineup were Scrapper and Bone Crusher. A pretty nice start to the collection, but probably not the standouts of the line. They both look very much like their character designs, very green and some purple like most of the Constructicons. I do think that all of these figures could have done with maybe a little bit more paint just to liven it up a little bit more. As we can see here with Bone Crusher, he's very green. There is some reds and purples on his chest and there is some silver on his legs, but you can hardly really see it against the green. Whereas with Scrapper, he does have that big purple chest, so there is a bit more to see on him, but it still would have been nice to have some sort of paint, maybe on the ladder of the arm or something like that. But they're both great looking figures. Unfortunately, the treads on Bone Crusher do not move, and they did not sculpt in any moving wheels to make it roll. But Scrapper does have some nice big wheels, and they are pinned on, so they do work really nicely when rolling him around. Then we got Hook and Longhaul. For me, probably two of the better figures out of the wave. Longhaul is just really big and bulky and looks quite cool, and Hook, there's just something about his design. He's a lot thinner, skinnier, smaller than Longhaul, but he just looks like an interesting looking figure, and when you have him in hand, he's quite cool to play around with. Both of these guys have pinned on wheels, so they can roll really nicely. I do think with Longhaul, maybe the wheels folding in would have been a nice touch, just so there's a little less kibble on the back of the legs. And I do think with Hook that there is a bit too much kibble on the back. I don't know how they could have hidden this, and I'm going to be displaying them in Devastator mode, so it's not the end of the world, but seeing that cab just right there on the back of the leg is a bit of an eyesore and does limit the articulation just a little bit. But they do have some really nice head sculpts, and these two do have a bit more paint than the other two. Maybe that comes with the Commander class price point, I'm not sure, but some pretty nice figures. The only other thing I would have to say about Hook really is the flat feet. Much like the design of the Gamerverse Sideswipe, I don't really like how thin they are, and it does make him a bit wobbly, and sometimes you do have to use the hook to make him stand up. And then finally we got Mixmaster and we got Scavenger. Scavenger being just a remold of Bone Crusher, so he has exactly the same legs. The issues that Bone Crusher had for the legs carry over onto this guy. He's got the stiff knees and there's no wheels, so he doesn't really move, you just slide him across the ground. The design looks quite nice and is accurate to the show, but it is a very odd design with the whole T-shaped body. But Mixmaster on the other hand is a very cool looking figure. Again, he does have the front of his vehicle mode just there on the back of the legs, and it is quite thick, so it does hinder the articulation just a little bit, but from the front he looks really nice, and the mixing barrel on the back does look pretty good, and it's very accurate as well. These guys, although don't have as much paint as the Commander class set, they do still have some nice paint. There is a lot more extra purple plastic. I know this is down to the design, but it just makes them stand out that little bit more, and you can definitely see them on the shelf. But now let's get down to combining these. So to start off with, you're going to want to get them all into vehicle mode. I'm not going to do that in this video because I do have separate videos on all of them that you can go and watch to see the transformations for them. So let's get on with transforming them into their piece mode and then combining them. And here they are all combined. But before we take a closer look at him, who is Devastator?
Devastator is a combination of all the Constructicons. 6 smaller Transformers merged to make one big one. He was the very first combiner in the Transformers universe and was created by Megatron on Earth originally as 6 separate characters: Scrapper, Hook, Bone Crusher, Long Haul, Mixmaster, and Scavenger, but was given the ability to merge into Devastator to destroy Autobots, as well as be a top-notch engineering team. He is massive, made for brute force, and can easily level entire buildings in seconds, but can sometimes be hard to control.
But now taking a look at the actual combiner, and he looks great. Going all the way up the front, he looks amazing. Loads of sculpted detail, just loads of detail in general, and he looks very much like the guy. From the back, he looks equally good. Yes, he looks like a load of vehicles that have been stuck together, but that's what Devastator is, and he looks good. The only angle that doesn't quite work is this one, the side angle, because you can see that massive backpack / butt flap thing, which is a bit of an eyesore, but all that kibble did have to go somewhere, so it's not the end of the world, and we're probably all going to be displaying him looking forward. But zooming out and taking a look at him as a whole, he looks amazing. Everything just clicks together so nicely and so securely. Everything on this guy is solid. There isn't really any wobble. Nothing's going to fall apart. With some of the skeleton designs, the knees especially are a bit weak, I've found, so they do flop about. And with some of those older Combiner Wars figures, they didn't really attach very well and could just fall apart. But this guy looks the part and feels the part as well. Nothing is falling off of him. The only area I would suggest that needed any improvement would be the shoulders, as they are just soft, movable joints, so they don't really hold anything up too well. If you do try and put anything in his hand, even his gun, the arm will tend to just fall down, either straight away or a slow move down. So if you did want to get him into any action poses or anything, or do some photography with him, you're probably going to want to take some flight stands with you to hold up his arms when he's holding stuff. But other than that, from this angle, he looks amazing. And even from the back, yes, you can see a bit more of the kibbly side of him, but it doesn't look too bad. At the end of the day, he is one big robot made out of a lot of smaller robots. All those pieces have to go somewhere. If we take a look at Mixmaster and Scrapper at the lower legs, the backs of the legs are the underside of the vehicles, which in a lot of cases for Transformers is where a lot of the arms are held, the heads are held, the chests are held, so you're gonna see that. But you're not really going to be displaying him from this angle, and if you do want to take some photography with him, you can probably work some angle where you're not going to see any of this. The only real problem for me is the massive backpack / butt flap. It does hinder the articulation slightly, and it does look just a little bit out of place, but as I already said, that kibble did have to go somewhere, and the main parts of each of those figures that are forming the kibble are very much needed where they are, so these pieces are just a slight negative. But all the way around, he does have a lot of color to him. As I talked about in all of those single reviews, none of them really had too much paint on them, as I thought they were majoritively supposed to be seen in this mode. But when you do combine him into this mode, all the different colors on those separate figures do combine to break up some of that boring greenness, which does bring him alive and make him look pretty cool. And taking a closer look at the chest and head area, finally, it does look really good. If you were to remove this chest plate, it is a bit of a mess. You can tell that it is just one vehicle stacked on top of another. So I do like the fact that this is a separate piece that you build and then goes over the top of it and hides all of that empty space and connection area inside. He has the nice Decepticon logo right slap bang in the middle, and I don't know, there's something about the wings that, I know it's accurate to the design, but it just makes him look a little bit cooler. And that head sculpt is very nice. There isn't too much movement to it, as we will see in the articulation section, but what you do get is good, and as an actual look, it looks awesome. The nice big black dome head bit with the nice silver faceplate and the big red goggles to go over the eyes. It's very, very cool, very, very accurate, and just screams that he's a collection of all of these Constructicons merged into one. So overall, so far, a very, very nice combiner, and probably the best combiner we've ever had. Even better than Menasor and Superion, and definitely a lot better than those Combiner Wars figures. As for accessories, we get these two. They did come with Scrapper, so we did get them very early on, and we did take a look at them in that video, so we won't spend too much time looking at them now. But they're both cast out of purple plastic, and there is quite a lot of sculpted detail on them, which looks nice. You just use the barrel end and the stock end of one of them to combine them together like this, and they do have handles on the underside to hold some sights for him to use as well, and there is a little attachment point for some blast effects at the barrel. But if we bring in Devastator, then we can just bring in the gun, and using the peg we can just attach it into one of these holes on his hand, and he does look pretty cool. However, the gun is very loose in his hand and will not stay up. I have tried playing with this quite a lot, and no matter what you do, it just seems to flop around, or the arm does seem to sag a little bit, as I did mention that those shoulders aren't the strongest joints ever. But when you do have a position where it looks quite cool, he does look really nice. For articulation, the head can spin all the way around, the arms can come out this far, and they can spin all the way around. There is a swivel at the elbow, and it can bend there as well. There's some swivel at the wrist, and the fingers can move out as well. There is even a waist swivel, however it is hindered by the butt flap. The legs can come out this far, only back this far. If you lift this up, they can come this far. There's a swivel at the upper leg, and there is a joint at the knee, and a nice ankle rocker as well. For some size comparisons, here he is next to the Transformers Rise of the Beast Bumblebee, the Transformers Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime, the Gamer Edition Ratchet, the G1 Commander Class Optimus Prime, the leader of the Decepticons, Leader Class Megatron, another combiner, Superion, and I do like that this guy is still taller than him, the New Age Optimus Prime, the Marvel Legends Sam Wilson Captain America, and the Star Wars Black Series Shaq T. And that's a wrap on our review of the Transformers Studio Series 86 Devastator. A very cool combiner, and definitely one of the best we've had recently. Nothing against Menasor or Superion, but it's nice to see them get away from the skeleton design. Overall, as separate figures, they look okay. Some of them are better than others, but combined they look amazing, and I think that's where they were really trying to focus on these figures. You buy them separately, but you display them as a whole, and I think that works really, really well. It's definitely how I am going to be displaying these guys. But before he starts stomping all over the place and crushing my other figures, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, click the subscribe button if you want to see more Transformers reviews, and if you enjoyed the video, why not leave a comment down below. Tell me how much you like this figure or don't like this figure, and if you're looking forward to the next combiner. But with all that said, until next time, transform and roll out.